Good morning, you guys. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. I decided on this good morning to just come out here in our backyard and just be at peace, be in God's presence. And I wanted to share the view with you guys. And one of the things about this backyard, this was a place that I didn't realize that I had needed. This was a place that God brought me to. This was a place that when my life felt like it was collapsing, I was having to restart my life all over again. With myself and my 2 kids, alone, away from family, away from friends. And I found myself being in this place. I didn't understand at the time why God would have brought me to this place. When I moved here, it was in the fall, and the leaves were already starting to fall off their branches. And then a few months later, it was covered all in snow and the branches were bare, no leaves, just covered in snow. Until a few months later, spring came about, and I started to see the little buds forming on these branches. And then before you know it, this place is completely covered in leaves. And the very first time in my life back then, I felt safe. I felt protected. I felt for the first time I can actually feel God. I can actually experience God and know that God is here. So although my circumstances had changed, although my life had not looked the same as it used to, although I was so sad that my life had fallen apart, the dreams that I had of having the perfect family were shattered. And I found myself being in a place where I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be that mother who was single, raising 2 kids on her own. I didn't want to be in a place where I felt isolated from everybody. I had no friends, no family. Walked away from my job, my career. I had no support. And I didn't want to be here. And that was until I had the revelation that God brought me to this place where I could finally be at peace, where I could finally feel safe, where I could finally begin the work of transformation, begin looking inward, begin taking accountability for decisions I made, begin looking at the patterns, begin looking at generational cycles, begin healing. And what I didn't realize was that it would take a lot of time, it would take a lot of energy, it would take a lot of strength, it would take a lot of courage to keep going through the process and the journey. It would take so much patience to unlearn all the chaos, all the drama, all the unhealthy patterns. It would take a lot emotional resiliency. It would take a lot for me to dig deep and really just to get honest with myself. But it continued, even when things got harder. And even when it felt like things were not getting better, things were actually getting worse. I still kept coming back out here. And I'm reminded every time that I come back out into this backyard that this is the place that God brought me to. Because God cared for me. God showed his loving kindness to me. God made me realize this is actually what I needed. I just needed peace. I needed stability. So whoever this is for, if you've grown up in a household that was not stable, an upbringing that was so chaotic, traumatizing, you have people in your life that continue to show up and you are not aware of all the cycles that's still being played out, then invite God in. If you're tired, ask God for his help. And God will bring you into a place where there's peace, where there's tranquility, where it is safe. God will bring you to his brook, and he will refresh you with his water, and he will renew you in his strength. And before you know it, you'll continue on the journey. You'll get back up. All is not lost. But just know you too can get back up. You too can persevere. You too are not so far gone that God can't redeem you. God can't redeem your life because you are so worthy. You are so loved. You are so deserving for you to walk out your purpose, for you to walk out knowing who you are, for you to walk out confident in your authority, for you to walk out in the peace